What up, Cooks? It's your boy, the Hater, up in this pace. And before we actually get to today's second day of WrestleMania Sunday, as they say, I want to address just a few quick things. Number one, I was completely right about Gunther the whole time. The title reign was completely meaningless. Sami Zayn is now the champion. He's going to have another meaningless title reign, just as meaningless as his first, and no one's going to care. Now, with respect to the main event and how it plays out tomorrow, the truth is that nobody really knows because Roman Reigns could be setting up to extend his reign to beat Hulk Hogan's title reign. Otherwise, obviously, I think everyone can kind of agree that having Roman Reigns be a champion for any other reason for a year is inexcusable. It's like, the point's been made. Like, they don't have time in 1 year to really push somebody unless they start with Braun Breaker, immediately, But the things that I've been hearing, and the Hater has a lot of friends that really like dirt sheets and really are kind of smarky, right? A lot of people seem to be under two primary, camps, right? They fall into two camps and a third camp that combines these two camps. There's two primary suggestions, right? The first and most obvious one is that The Rock turns on Roman. Now, of course, this is likely to happen, right? Because the introduction of The Rock can only serve two purposes. Either he's going to cost Roman Reigns or he's going to cost Cody Rhodes, right? He's not going to be completely immune to either one of those, right? The logic dictates that she has no reason, kayfabe-wise, to help Cody Rhodes, right? The entire feud has been predicated upon The Rock beating the hell out of Cody Rhodes, right? The only way this makes sense is if somehow this was like the plan all along, which would be ridiculous and would just be horrible storytelling, horrible writing. None of it would make sense. The other situation, of course, is The Rock helps Roman Reigns, which you don't have to explain that at all, right? Then they can go and have their match whenever the hell they feel like having their match. Nevertheless, the things that I'm hearing are people that are like, oh my God, I can't wait to see who's going to interfere tomorrow. Like, people are under the impression that, The Rock is going to be, stopped by John Cena or by Stone Cold even. It's absurd and makes absolutely no sense. Now, is it possible? Well, anything's possible with this horseshit of a build, right? None of anything has made any sense at all, right? All of a sudden, first it's Roman versus Rock. Then Cody's like, hold on a second, I've changed my mind. All this stupid shit that's happened that didn't need to happen has nevertheless happened, right? So, of course, as a result of that, it's possible that Stone Cold comes and helps Cody Rhodes, right? But the question would be, why would they? Why would anyone help Cody Rhodes, right? What itch does Stone Cold have to scratch in stopping Roman Reigns, right? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What itch does John Cena have to scratch against Roman Reigns or The Rock, right? Nobody has any vested interest in this except for Cody Rhodes and now Seth Rollins. Now, Seth Rollins was essentially injured in the first match, right? Kayfabe-wise, he's going to be on a broken leg, right? So if Drew McIntyre wins or if, Damian Priest cashes in, it doesn't matter. The point is, the expectation is that Seth Rollins is going to lose, right? If he loses, then it seems kind of extra for him to prioritize Cody Rhodes over himself, right? He could screw Cody Rhodes over, but even then, it's a little silly, right? It's like he lost his title, assuming he loses. So now he's going to screw somebody over. Why would he even be interested in what's going on? He should be in a depressed state that he lost his title. That should be the primary motivator for Seth Rollins, right? And then furthermore, if he loses his title, either to Drew or to Damian Priest, the implications are going to be that he's been defeated, right? So how can he come out an hour and a half later and have a meaningful impact in this match? Doesn't make any sense, right? So it seems that the most logical way of this playing out is option 3, right? Cody Rhodes just Hulk Hogan's himself and overcomes all the odds. The deck is stacked against them. They got Roman, they got Rock, they got Jimmy, they got Solo. Maybe Jimmy turns face. Fuck knows. Maybe Jey Uso comes and helps. But once again, why would Jey Uso want to help Cody? Right? It doesn't make any sense. Jey Uso just beat Jimmy Uso. He needs to restart his quest to do whatever the hell is next for him. And the correct day to do that is the Raw after WrestleMania, right? Where the fallout, is kind of explained and the new season begins, right? It's like a blank slate for a lot of people. So it doesn't seem like anybody has an interest in interfering for Cody's sake, right? Now people are like, I think Goldust should come in. What the fuck are you talking about? Goldust was like a jobber in WWE from the year 2000 till he left, basically, right? He was a perpetual jobber. Like the idea that he can be plugged into the main event to deal with The Rock is just absurd, right? It would be the equivalent of Al Snow coming out and helping Cody Rhodes. It doesn't make any sense because of the fact that both of them are undercard jobbers. So this idea that there's an expectation as to who's going to help who, of course it's possible, right? Like it's possible, for example, that like I think it would be more likely that Triple H comes out and helps Cody. Why? I don't know. You'd have to make a stretchy argument for that. I guess the argument would be like, well, it's the new era and Triple H is, picking his champion, if you will, right? But that's like a heel move, right? The only people that would be helping Cody Rhodes are people that are interested in justice prevailing, right? And there are no wrestlers that are like that in WWE, right? And certainly no wrestlers that would otherwise do that, right? This is not the time of like John Cena's in the roster, so like if some random woman is being harassed by Mark Henry, like Cena might come save her because Cena is a superhero, right? There are no heroes left, cucks. There are no heroes left. The only hero they're pushing is Cody. And since he has no tangible allies, it just has to be Cody somehow overcomes all the odds. Now, this is going to be ridiculous, right? It's going to be just foolish, and people are going to turn on him, right? Because I don't care who you are. It's like, remember that there was like one WrestleMania match? It was like a women's match, and AJ Lee came in as the champion, and it was basically like a fatal 20-way like match, right? There was like 15, 20 women wrestling, and whoever gets the first pin or submission wins, right? And AJ Lee happened to be that one, right? It's like, even if it was Hulk Hogan, right? He wouldn't be able to beat like 19 other people. It's just absurd, right? And this would be filed under that same category. So these fantasies of random people are going to come and inject themselves in the storyline is not only stupid, but if that were true, it would just be horrible booking. Like, imagine, I know that people are simple and people react mostly to theme songs, right? But imagine if the glass shatters and Stone Cold comes out, right? Yeah, it's going to be sick. It's going to make me jump out of my seat. There's no doubt about it, right? However, in the logical sense, does this make any sense at all? The answer is no, because Stone Cold has never done anything to involve himself in this feud, right? So if he just comes out, it literally just is like Stone Cold just secretly hates The Rock forever, so now he wants to come and ruin The Rock's life, like, which is just shit writing, right? So the more likely scenario is that Cody Rhodes is going to get maybe some allies that are just fed up with Roman Reigns, like Seth Rollins and maybe Jey Uso, but none of these things make sense, right? Because then the logic would be exactly the same as it was. Why didn't people help Cody Rhodes last year, right? Like, in other words, what makes Cody Rhodes' situation this year different than last year? And furthermore, what makes Cody Rhodes capable of overcoming all the odds when he could not overcome all the odds, in night one, right? Like, there were fewer odds to overcome, and Cody couldn't get it done. So it's just shit writing to make it so all of a sudden, between night one and night two, Cody Rhodes gets like a boost to his superpowers, and now he's capable of doing the impossible and overcoming The Rock and overcoming Seth Rollins, right? None of this makes any sense, So, like, for better or for worse, I mean, it's hard to say that Cody's not going to win just because, like, then what was the point? Just to bury Cody? You know what I mean? That's kind of silly, right? Cody Rhodes would have been better off challenging, Seth Rollins, right? And actually having the match. So we have to think of what possible scenarios exist, right, within the realm of logic and decent writing, right, that would yield a better outcome for the fans than just having the matches be different. Like if they had just done, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins and then done Rock versus Roman Reigns, I think everyone would be looking forward to that tomorrow, right? People would be far more excited. Now it's like, the question is, like, there's two questions. Either how is Cody going to overcome the odds, or how is Cody going to get screwed, right? It would be weird to just have Roman Reigns win clean. That doesn't make any sense either. So it's like they've kind of really pigeonholed themselves into one of very few possible outcomes. Not outcomes. There's only two outcomes, obviously. Either Cody wins or he doesn't. But, sub-outcomes, right? How Cody's going to win or how Cody's going to lose. And it seems like they've kind of, unfortunately, they've painted themselves into a corner. And it just seems to me, like, I could be wrong, but it seems to me like the more logical thing would be to just have Roman Reigns win. To just screw Cody over one more time. right? And then properly build to a scenario. It can even be the next pay-per-view, I don't care. To properly build to a scenario where Cody needs to go and gather an alliance, right? Like, Cody Rhodes as a kayfabe wrestler is like one of the dumbest people of all time, right? It's like, all right, you lost your match at WrestleMania 39, right? You lost because Roman Reigns cheated and had Solo Sikoa help him, right? As well as the Bloodline and everything else, including Paul Heyman. So Cody Rhodes, does absolutely nothing for the majority of the year, then wins the Rumble. As soon as he wins the Rumble and decides that he's going to declare, right, he should try to balance the deck in his favor. But what's happened instead is that Cody Rhodes is in a worse situation this night 2 than he was at last year's night 2, right? Because now he has everything to worry about that he had to worry about back then, except for, I guess, Jey Uso, right? But now he also has Bloodline rules, and he's got The Rock there as well, who, number one, whooped his ass, but more importantly, The Rock now wields the superpowers of, like, a general manager, right? He can just threaten the ref and tell him, like, don't count anybody out. Like, he can just pretty much make it so that the ref fast counts or whatever the case may be, right? Kayfabe-wise, that is, right? So Cody Rhodes has done nothing, kayfabe-wise, to deserve to win tomorrow, right? Doesn't make any sense. The only explanation is superpowers. Deus ex machina. Deus ex cucky, right? If you wanna go about it that way, be my guest. But I fear that if that were to happen, everyone's gonna look at tonight's main event of night 2 as something inferior to what they expected. Sure, people might get excited. If Cody wins, people will still cheer, you deserve it, the next night on Raw, but give it a few months and nobody's going to give a flying fuck about Cody. You know what I mean? Just like in AEW, because Cody is cringe. And with that being said, let's look forward to see what's going to happen, Cooks. I don't know. Do you know? I got no idea, motherfuckers.